Good morning. I'm Adam Maurer, chair of the leadership team here at Advent, and thank you for joining me this morning to talk about some possibilities here at Advent. So it's kind of the gift that Eric announced a couple weeks ago was kind of a spark that got this conversation moving forward. We've been having, the leadership teams have been having some conversations around Advent ahead and breaking new ground and 40 years of Advent, and then the needs of the church and the community. So we've been trying to be intentional about aligning the ministries here at Advent with Advent ahead and the mission of the United Methodist Church, which again is to make disciples for the transformation of the world. So I want to remind us what Advent ahead was all about. So the congregation came together to discuss what we value about Advent, and what came out of that was our 5 core values, and those are authentic connectivity, servant-minded, soul work, inclusive, and adaptive. And some key points from those from Advent ahead was, as it relates to this discussion, was a focus on how we welcome people to Advent, regular discussions of how we can improve as a congregation and a church, alignment on our mission and values, looking for the needs of the community and serving them, multimodal experiences and opportunities to engage, and that we include all even when challenging. So as the leadership team started dreaming about possibilities of the building, we considered both the needs and dreams of Advent as well as the community we are part of. And there are needs to make the church more welcoming and so that newcomers feel a sense they belong. There are building infrastructure and technical and mechanical needs. There are needs for Advent to better serve the community. And then there are possibilities to make Advent even a more amazing space for our congregation. But before we get too far into the conversation, I want to ensure you that we're not pursuing anything that creates a financial disadvantage for the church as we move forward. But at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Eric here to talk kind of how what we've done so far along this.
So Adam referred to the Advent Ahead event that we had. It was a full-day event, and the reason we did that was so we listened to you tell us what you wanted to be as a church so that as we started to move forward, we were in line with what you said. And when we did that, one of the things I always tell people, I don't know if you know this, I talk a lot. Yeah, I do. But one of the things is you can get lost in how much I talk and lose sight of how much we listen. And so that whole event was about listening to you and what you had to say. And when Lindsey first came to serve at Advent, one of the first things I asked her to do was to go out in the community and listen to the community and the things that they said, specifically related at that time to Adventure Kids. There's so many Advent things I get mixed up. Adventure Kids. We learned a lot of things that we weren't actually looking for, but it was really helpful information. So all of a sudden, this gift is presented with an idea that we decided, hey, let's put this to kill that mortgage off, to create more income to move things forward. But that gift was not given solely to reduce debt. It was to start to move the vision that we keep on talking about forward. And so when that happened, the first thing that I did is I called up, got a hold of Jeffrey B. Larson, who's a member of this congregation, who works exclusively with buildings and facilities, but not only in a secular world, but within the church, within the United Methodist Church, looking at churches and adapting churches. He has experience. So we brought, Lindsey joined me, the three of us. We walked through and we listened to what Jeffrey B. had to say about this building. And then what he did is he came up with a list of like 12 things. We took that 12 things and then we brought that to the leadership team, and the leadership team got their input on those 12 things and let them be an open conversation about that. When that got done, we took it to the trustees and had their input on it. And so one of the things that I did after we got that input is when I was at Richfield United Methodist Church, I got to be really good friends with a family there, and he is a recently retired architect. And so I got a hold of him because I know he's retired, and he's looking for fun things to do. So what I did is I sent him the list of stuff that we talked about, and I asked him to draw these plans. Now, he took the plans and went even bigger with the plans, so don't get overly consumed with this. This is a big dream. But the reason we're talking to you now about this, these are not final plans. We are informing you so you can continue to inform us what resonates with you, doesn't resonate with you, before we move forward with anything. So Jake, would you put these plans up on the board? So actually, as you look at this building, you can see where the sanctuary is. There's not anything marked up there. There's some things that are moved over to the right that are marked up. But if you look at this, he took some of the outside things that we were not really looking at in a big way, and actually kind of got me enticed of thinking about turning our grass in our area into a park. But that was his vision, not necessarily where we're at, so don't get lost in that one. But it is a good place to dream. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, so I'm Tom Adams. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the chair of the Finance Committee. We have a great group in the Finance Committee, which also puts me on the leadership team and somehow got me up at the podium today. So along with that, I do some of the AV stuff, and obviously I'm not always right. So anyone who wants to talk today, I want to give you a microphone because we're streaming. If you talk without the microphone, the streaming people aren't going to hear you. Okay, so my job is to talk about this room. So this room was built 24 years ago. There was an update done in 2009, 2010. It's when the acoustic panels went up, when walls got painted. We did projection at that point, and some other things that happened then. But if you look around this room, and if you look around with a critical eye, you will say, looks 24 years old, and it is. So we've been talking about the updates that we would propose or think about for this room, and they come in two different pieces. So there's updates to the actual physical pieces of the room. Let's just talk carpet, for example. And then there's some AV updates, and I'll explain them as well because it's kind of a passion of mine. So as I just walk through these things, carpet, and you're going to hear carpet as a recurring theme this morning. Carpet has been on the floor for quite a while, and it looks it. So that's going to be on our list. The floor that I'm standing on is going to need to be, let's call it enhanced. We're not quite sure what that means yet, but there's going to be some work put on the chancel floor. The wall behind the choir, which is very much a temporary wall, and as it turns out, is pretty required from an audio standpoint to project the choir out into the sanctuary. We would look to do something, let's call it better, over there. The rearness wall. Now, when you're in the sanctuary, you don't think much about the rearness wall. It's just kind of there. The cross hangs on it. The screen hangs on it. But I will tell you that when you're watching the video, it calls out all kinds of neat things. So when we're zoomed in with these cameras and we're looking at Eric up here giving a great message, when there's nothing on the wall, he looks like he's an animated character in front of a, beige screen. So we're going to do some kind of texture material on the wall to kind of break that up. That's on the list. As we move away from the actual infrastructure, then we have some AV updates. So you probably don't know this, but the speaker in the ceiling over there and the speaker in the ceiling over there, they don't work. So they've been disconnected. They are, again, 24 years old. They were put in when the sanctuary was built. So there's going to be speaker updates. I don't know if that's all or just those two. We'll have to see how that goes. Let's see, what else? We need to replace the projector in the back. That is getting tired. So we have to reduce the size of the picture to get it to be bright enough so you can see it. We would like to add a third camera for the streaming, and we would like that to be remotable, so it could be moved into Wesley Hall, for example. So on Wednesday, when the service was done in there, which got rave reviews from the people who attended, there's no way to stream from there today. So we would like to be able to move a camera in there and just have the ability to stream from that part of the building. So that's on the list. I think. Oh, the lights. Thank you very much. Yeah. So the lights. So you can see that there's a few that are out. They are all the lights in this room. I think they've been replaced once or twice. I don't know if Jack is here. But replacing the lights is a big deal. They're pretty high up, which means we have to have a lift, and most of them are on an angle, which means pews have to come out to get the lift to put in so you can reach the lights. So when you replace one, you replace them all, because as they start to go bad, they tend to all go bad. And we would look at updating the technology out of well, I guess I think they're halogen that today. We would go to an LED technology, more energy efficient, whatnot. In addition to that, the lighting is terrible for streaming. If you ever watch the stream, whoever's up here gets shadows on their face, especially the further forward they stand. So we would also look at doing some kind of lighting that would mitigate that to get a better full picture. So, okay, did I cover it all? All right. Do you want to take questions now, or?
Joanie said later.
Joanie said later. Joanie, you're up there.
You just had the most definitive answer.
What can I say? Hi, I'm Joanie Rockvoy, and I am the trustee chair. And as you heard from Tom, carpet is the word of the day. And that includes carpet out in the narthex and in the rest of the building, including the carpet in Wesley Hall. So that's something I think we have to consider and look at because of the age and the condition, and I think it would truly enhance what it looks like as you walk in and use the building. And when you look at walking into the building, the narthex is obviously part of it. And we would like to make it more flexible, if you will, so that we would take the counter out, you put the new carpet in, and then the space can be more usable. It's a wonderful space for meetings. I know we do book club there, and it's light, it's open, it's airy, and I think other people have used that for meeting space, and it's just very welcoming. And I think anybody who's had that opportunity would agree. The other thing that I get to talk about is the kitchen. How many of you have worked in the kitchen for a big event? A lot of you. So is it a perfect space? No! I didn't think so either when I've been in there. And so part of what the suggestion is to expand the space, redo the space, and make it into more of a commercial catering kitchen, not a cooking kitchen, a catering kitchen. There's a big difference. And I think that would make it much easier for all of us when we work in the kitchen and hold events in our church, especially Wesley Hall. So I think there's a lot we can do with that space and make it better. But my favorite part is Wesley Hall. And I know Eric has gotten tired of me saying, Eric, why don't we have windows on the north side of the space? I have said it how many times? More than once. So one of the things that I was really excited about when I saw this drawing was the fact that there would be doors to the exterior, we would have light, there would be windows on the north side which would let more light into the space. We would have to redo some lighting in the space, flooring in the space. But what I was really excited about when I saw this was, as you take that space and you go to the north side and you walk out, you can see that there's a patio. So we could use that for other things. And that would be, for example, when we have our fall kickoff, we rent a tent, We have all of these tables we have to take out, and then we take all the food from the kitchen and we haul it out there. Wouldn't it be much nicer if we could just walk out the north doors of Wesley Hall? And it would make it so welcoming, and there are so many other activities we could have as you envision going forward. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but I think it's a great option for the future. So I'm all for what we're looking at, and the trustees have looked at this and we've talked about it, and I think this is a wonderful rendition of what we could potentially do in the space that we have without expanding the space and building. I think it's a great way to re-envision what we currently have. So Lindsey, I think you're up.
As I was reading through the notes from the Advent Ahead meetings, one of the things that popped out to me was the amount of times we talked about wanting our space to be able to be used by the community. And so if you have come in for a meeting here at church, the best place to meet is the lobby, which is not a meeting room. And so what we have instead are 2 rooms right up front that are dedicated to kids, and they're giant, and I do love them, but we do not need that space for children's ministry. And as our ministry continues to grow, if you are in a hurry to hit the bathroom after worship, you will find yourself in a complete traffic jam in the hallway. And so one of the things we talked about as we were thinking about the community using our spaces was the current nursery and Advent Kids Room could be rededicated to become spaces that the community can use. So some adult meeting spaces that would be a little bit more flexible for people, but that would be able to have small groups meeting more than one at a time. Because if you want the lobby and it's booked, you're not able to do that. And so then one of the exciting things would be we would move Advent's nursery across the hallway to the smaller current youth room. Right now, our nursery, if you walk by, they use the back half only. Kids run in and they go straight to the toys in the back, and so the front half is not being used. And so space-wise, it just lines up very nicely for us. And then the Advent kids actually move. We would move all the way down to the other side of the building. And what that does is it provides us with a little bit more space. We have some safety things. Again, the traffic jam at the end of the day means it is incredibly difficult to do pickup with families when I'm trying to make sure people can get to the restroom, and that I'm making sure that parents are picking up the correct kids and they are leaving with the correct people. And so the Advent Kids Room actually moves to the back hallway. For lack of better terms. So right now, the back hallway is a large hallway with 2 meeting spaces, a workroom, and the Emmaus room. And what we would do is we would take out the walls between the workroom, the 2 offices, and the hallway and create a kids ministry space that would be state-of-the-art for kids. And then the Emmaus room, we would knock out that wall as well to the hallway, and that would become the new youth room. So right now on a Sunday night, the youth are packed tightly into the room that they are using currently. So this gives them a ton more floor space, a ton more flexibility for their meeting. So we would be looking at flip-flopping some rooms to have them be the best use of space throughout the week. Right now, a large part of our footprint is used for 1 hour on Sunday morning, and it has so many more abilities to be used if we just move some things around. So that is the kids and youth space.
Jake, leave this picture up here for a minute, just so you can get an idea. If you're looking over here at the left, what he did is again, just like Lindsey said, repurposing those rooms, but also you can see he's kind of put a bend into the walls and making those glass. So as you walk down through the hallway, you would get rid of those doors. There would be a bend there and there would be glass. And we do that for transparency in meetings so we don't have any closed off spaces. But what it's talking about here, and the other thing that is not on the map that is, it was just what Lindsey just said, is getting rid of the hallway by the Emmaus room and just expanding that into rooms so that when you were in the room, you enter into Wesley Hall, okay? And so that's what it's looking at that. The reason to do this, the reason behind a lot of this that we're doing is, like when Tom's up here talking about the online experience, you got to remember that our online experience is our number one evangelism tool. People are going to watch online 10 times before they come to the church for the first time. And so we just need to be very conscientious about what that experience looks like and how it interacts with the world. The other thing is, as we go through, these room renovations are probably the least expensive of everything to do. Now, I'm going to head into dangerous ground. When we decided to become an inclusive church, and I know in that inclusive group, that group that worked a bit, one of the things we talked about was thinking about our bathrooms. Now, regardless of anything, our bathrooms, I'm more brutal to you, I'm sorry. Our bathrooms are terrible. And they're just, and I've talked to some young families that just go, they're just terrible. They need to be redone no matter what. But what if we thought differently about them? What if we thought differently about them? And so we were just talking back there, and Jake's mom said, the Grove, they built, or have they built, or are they building? They're building what gender-neutral bathrooms, okay? And Jake's mom says, I call them family bathrooms. And essentially, that's what you're talking about. Essentially, it's what you're talking about. And I got to tell you something. I am not comfortable in our bathrooms because the space between somebody accidentally walking in and catching me with my pants down is very small. And that might be funny, but how many pastors have gotten in trouble? So it's big time for me. And I work in a building with all females, okay? So it is a big deal. And I kept on saying this, and Tom goes, Adam's first experience into this, he walked into the wrong bathroom. When his first experience, on his wedding day. Should have been red flag, but no. No, just kidding. So one of the other things, too, is if you go out in the culture, in the corporate world, in common spaces, this is a trend, and it might even become a law in the future. So why not be proactive with it? Would you throw up the bathroom layout? This is on the exact same footprint that we have right now as you look at this. And what it does is you'll have two entrances, and it will come in. There will be no doors out there going into the bathroom. They'll be open. And when you go in, there's going to be 2 storage closets. There's 2 changing tables. There are 2 sinks, pretty much right where they are right now. But when you come in, there will be 4 toilets there that are all individual private stall that will be floor-to-ceiling doors and not just a little thing that you can go in there and be closed off. You'll have down at the bottom down there in the 2, what are already the existing handicap bathrooms. You will have toilets in there, and you'll have sinks in there as well. And those doors, again, will be able to close off. And if you think about this, and it's right, if we think about gender neutral, it gets into woke, it gets into the whole culture, it gets into everything, and then all of a sudden we're divided over it. But these literally are doing bathrooms no different than you have in your house. You have 20 people come over to your house. You don't separate male and female bathrooms and go, and usually the bathroom's really connected to the eating area, so you can't sit there and say this is a foreign concept. So just sitting there thinking about that, but I think it would be beyond, and this is what I struggle with. It would be comfortable. It just really would be comfortable to say, they're family bathrooms, they're no different than anything, they're no this and this, and ease it off. But man, we made a promise to be inclusive. What does that mean? Huh? I mean, can't we think about, these bathrooms are designed after Prize Brewery in Minneapolis. Breweries understand how to make a room inclusive and how to make it welcoming. Can't we do this the same way? And so that's what I'm thinking about. That's as we sit there and think about this whole thing. The more that I use this type of bathroom, the more comfortable I am with it as a human being. So it is just throwing that out there. So I invite everybody to come back up here, or that is really what we're looking at. That's the scope of what we're looking at. And Jake, if you go back one slide, please. I just want to be clear about what Joanie was saying, is that if you look to the north of the building, you would have 2 sliding walkways that would go out to a patio there, but that we would also build a pavilion over that. And that one, putting it there and doing that was really an idea by Jeffrey B. that he said this would be a great place with the specific purpose of saying, hey, we're using this building 1 day a week. What if we opened this building to the community and used it 7 days a week? That's really what the design is. So with that, that's the whole spiel. Ask any questions away.
The total expense for all these things are covered by the gift. There will be no new debt.
No.
Is that
No.
correct?
Good question. So one of the 2 things that I would like to say about that is, one, that we basically said, here's a dream. And even if you don't fulfill the whole dream, maybe this becomes the guide as we move forward. And so we look at this and we say, we will look at refining these plans. I've asked Jeffrey B. Larson to head up this group to get some other people from this congregation on there to refine these plans so we have real costs and we have a real design to present to everybody else. We will do that in kind of a fashion we'll say, at this much we can build this, at this much we can build this, at this much we can build this, because as Adam says, we do not want to replace one mortgage with a new mortgage. So we want to build within our means. But at some point, we are going to need to do a capital campaign. The idea is if this person put up money, maybe there's other people that are interested in putting that kind of money up to do something with this building, make it part of the 40th anniversary, and build from there. So that at some point, we'll come down there. But this is a model for building. So this is kind of my area where I've worked most of my life. And I've always developed it this way. We will raise money and ask people to give a pledge over 3 years, okay? And then when we come to the total, we operate within that. So if in the year number 1, let's say we raise $500,000 and we have $100,000 to cash to start off, but we know we have this $500,000. We do the building, but we know we've got those gifts coming in to pay off the building. So maybe we do a short-term loan to get it done, but not enter into a no mortgage. So that's what we're doing. We're going to sit there and make out the master plan. We're going to come to a real cost, and then we'll give different levels based on priority and cost to present that to the congregation to commit to. Then we'll do a capital campaign to see where that reaches to, and invite other people to give as they are able. The other thing that I also wanted to say with that as well is, one of the things every fall, the district comes and asks me if I still feel called to this place. And I have to say in 21 and 22, I told them, I don't know. Check with me next year. But one of the things that I saw in 23 is that some of the things that we have been doing, some of the steps that we've been taking in children and youth and families and some in worship and online, that we are seeing a defined growth in this place. And so that I told them that in 23, in the fall of 23, that unless they have other plans that I don't think they do have, I see myself to be able to accomplish what I think we need to accomplish here, I have to stay for another 5 years. And I said, I think you have to honor that commitment. And they were here for that. So I'll be here unless you guys completely vote me out, which is, or Lindsey takes over. So I just want you to know, we always laugh that somebody's parent and I'm not looking at anybody specifically, always says, "Oh, watch out for Lindsey. She's coming to take it over."
She is not. She is not.
But I also sat there and said she did. It wasn't such a bad thing. So anyway, that's it. So. Oh, whoa, whoa.
I'm Sue Murray. I love what you're saying, and I want to go back to the idea of community groups coming in, because I've got a community group that I really want to bring in, and I'll even bring you money with it. So I'm just adding something to the list of things to consider as you think about taking money and putting it into this remodel project. And it goes to liability. When we talked about it before, my bringing the group, the lease agreement or the user agreement stipulates that the outside organization carry liability insurance. There's also the option of signing a hold harmless clause. So I'm just asking that you give thoughtful consideration to that. My group has no liability insurance. We'd be happy to sign a waiver. So as you look at committing money, please think about what kind of groups you want to bring in, and are they going to be groups that have the liability that's on the lease? And I understand that that lease is a pretty standard lease, having seen some in the community. So there's no blame at all in my comments. I get that. But gee, I'd like to bring them here, and I'll bring you money too.
Yeah.
You know, their money and my money.
Right.
You know.
And I think it's a really good point. Like I said, this is our dream stage, and any kind of input you have is welcome, good or bad.
Barney Melby, I'm just wondering if any of this can be broken down into stages as far as time and funding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can.
Jill Apple. I really appreciate the bathroom ideas, and I would also, and as one who's very in support of inclusion, also point out that it's really important for children use and family use, because it's really hard to let kids go across the hallway and kind of be unchaperoned in the way that it's set up now. Also, thinking about security, and I'm sure this might be a part of your master plan, is thinking about how we re-engineer our locking system for all of our exterior doors for safety purposes, but for ease and access and that kind of thing. So I hope that's on the list.
It is. It is.
Hello. This is from someone live streaming right now.
Yeah.
Are there any plans to make the chancel area handicap accessible? Please respond.
Hang on, Daniel.
It is accessible. The back level of the sanctuary is the level of the chancel. This is a ramp right here, which is the floor of the room as well. And you can get here through the back of the choir. I mean, it's a circuitous route, to be sure, but I'm on the level all the way to the chancel level. So it is built that way.
Come back to Deb, because I think Deb's got a broader point than just that.
I want to be a reader, and I'm sitting here. I'm not going to go clear around there.
Right. Good point. Yeah. You know, this is why I want you to share your opinions, because we had not thought about that. You're right. And that is an important point. Go ahead.
And I just want to also comment, I think the bathroom is a great idea. It's also really good if you're, say, the mother and you're taking your little boy in there. That's really friendly. It also is good as we're an aging population here, and I might have a partner with dementia or something, and I want to go in the bathroom with them. So I can see that as being a real plus.
Else? Caroline Kerner. I have 2 questions. Looking at the bathroom layout, there are fewer spots or fewer seats in the house than there are currently. I know there are standards around number of people in building and how many receptacles need to be available and those kind of things. So I just want to make sure that we have enough seating.
Yeah.
I have no objection to the concept. I think it's great for a variety of reasons. I just want to make sure we have enough seats because it's fewer than we have now. Secondly, the concept of community access, that's new to me. It sounds like from what Sue was saying, perhaps there's some ongoing commitment from groups. Would it also be something like the library where groups could check it out? I'm curious about what that means, the community access piece. If you could tell us a little more. Thank you.
I want to have fun with my response on this one. And I'm celebrating Lindsey in doing this. It's been hard to open up to the community because there's not so much usable space. And last year we tried to teach in Wesley Hall, and it was just terrible. It was really hard to be in there. And being in the lobby is the one really good community kind of space that we have. And what I'm throwing Lindsey under the bus for, because she's become prominent in how much stuff she's gotten rid of, and we love to joke with her about it, but in getting rid of that stuff, we've freed up a whole lot of space. And so what we're talking about doing is giving some really dedicated youth and children's space, but then also freeing up smaller breakout rooms. So if we do make Wesley Hall more usable if you're going to have a large group meeting in there, then have several breakout rooms for community groups and for us as well. You know, that we would have, maybe if we did something after church, you know, think about it. If you do an after church meeting, and we want people to go to Wesley Hall, you're going to lose a whole bunch of people. But what if the room is right there, and there's a glass window so you can see everybody who's leaving, and give them a guilt trip about leaving? And I'm saying, so there's that aspect of just creating more usable space in there. But I think it's one of the nice things, Tom alluded to it, was we used Wesley Hall for Ash Wednesday, and it's nice to be able to have that flexibility when we're going to be a smaller group, that we can have a worship experience that remains intimate without feeling lost in this big space. So it's doing that. And I think, wasn't it the doors is that what you had said too, Caroline? Number of toilets, that's it, yes. Number of toilets, the architect that I'm using is figured out for the number of people, our building capacity, that is completely adequate for the number of toilets we need. Yeah, there's laws guiding that, so. I think the other one was, I think somebody had talked about the doors. What we would like to do with the doors, we know the doors on the original building down by the office need to be replaced, but what we would like to be able to do is have a program fob system. So like, first thing that always comes to mind is outreach. I asked Jake if he wanted a key to the building, and Jake goes, "No, I don't want a key to the building. I want that responsibility." But we could sit there and we could program that building to be to open for when Jake comes for a Tuesday night meeting, or give people a code that will work only for that night when they come and use the building from the outside group. So, yeah. I don't know how to end it. There! Hey! Woof! Wow. Yes. No. I do want to say one thing that I've been joking. We've been joking about in the office and in the staff is I am really just on fire for watching what Grant is doing with youth, that coming alive with that, to watch what Lindsey's doing. And just so you know, the person who's the biggest advocate for Lindsey freaking ordination is me. And if I could get her to preach more, I would. All right? And that's, so just so you know that. And one of the things, if you notice, between Grant and Lindsey, we try to get him to preach at least once a month for the sole purpose that we need to hear other voices than mine. And I think we're in a really gifted spot with that. We have a really gifted staff, and we're going into great places. And I hope everybody joins us in that journey. So let's pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for you guiding us with your Holy Spirit, that you have taken us through the days of uncertainty, that you are showing us the way to go. Continue for us to understand that the conversations that we have and talking with each other is the tool that you use to refine the plans, so we can all embrace the direction that we're going. We pray that you would continue to be with us and guide us through all things, but also give us a heart of joy to give thanks for the goodness we share this day, and lead us to serve the world in more and profound ways. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.